Hey, this is Eric from Catching Light.
Hey, this is Hemp.
Hey, this is Glenn.
Hi, I'm Steve-O.
Hey, this is Drew Hines with Hindsight Imagery.
This is Matt Callahan at Digimatty Photographic Services.
Hey, this is Jason, and welcome to Tales from the Pit. Hey, and welcome to Tales from the Pit, the behind-the-lens access for concerts and photography. Today, we have a very special guest. We're very excited. She has a lot of stuff going on. She has a deep, rich history of art and photography and so many other things. Helen Collen, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is very exciting.
That's so cool. Thank you so much for coming on. So, for the people who may not know who you are, can you give us a history of what how you've achieved what you have in, your photography and all the other things? Can you give us a brief history?
Wow. Okay. First, I'll start with the disclaimer of I've lived 1,000 lifetimes. I started out, I'm a costume designer for theater and film and wardrobe. That's my trade. That's what I do. So I graduated from SUNY Purchase, their Professional Conservatory of Theatrical Design in 1996. I studied costume design there, and as soon as I got out, I joined the union, the wardrobe local, right away in New York. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, so I joined right away, and I started working on Broadway as a wardrobe person, and I got a pretty good reputation as a swinger, not that type of swinger, but on Broadway, like what would happen is, you have people who've been working those shows, Cats and Phantom of the Opera, for years and years and years, but there'll come a time when they need a day off, a daughter's wedding or, a funeral on the other side or something like that. They call in people who will come in the same day, learn the entire track for the show, and work the show like that night, and you'll do it for about a week or 2 weeks until the person comes back. And you just go from show to show to show. Most people don't know, but on Broadway, the very first night of opening, the wardrobe supervisor, who's in charge of all the costumes, they create, if they have let's say 12 to 15 dressers who dress the actors and do all the quick changes and stuff, each dresser has a track, and they have to write down exactly what they do. First show, the wardrobe supervisor takes each dresser's track notebook, puts it in a file. When the swinger comes in, they go, hey, dresser number 8's not here tonight. Here's her book. Do everything in this book. You wear it around your neck. And so that's what I would do. I would be, I would just work. That's the easiest way, I would say, if you were trying to work those shows, because those women are there forever. They're not going anywhere. But I just did that. But then on the flip side, when I got out of Purchase, there was a lack of Black costume designers in the African-American community. And so I pretty much got scooped up. So I was designing like crazy in Black theater. And it was great. The thing about me is I love behind the scenes stuff. So, I'm from Brooklyn. I went to Brooklyn Technical High School. And at 15 years old, that's when I picked up the first camera, because, and this is not weird, I think it's cool, but I'm pretty forward. I don't have a problem speaking to people. I'm a social butterfly, I have wings and stuff. I would have my camera, and if I saw a cute guy, I'd say, hey, can I take your picture? And believe it or not, back in, 1984, people were cool, way cooler than they are today, and guys would let me take their picture on the street.
I think you may have taken mine once or twice.
Did I take your shot? I definitely
believe so.
So I do. I think I took it 3 times. But I took these pictures, and then I ended up, I would just, wherever I was with my friends and stuff, once in a while you take a shot. But it really kind of kicked off when I started working wardrobe and stuff, and especially for film. When I was a wardrobe supervisor, I'd be responsible for continuity. I don't know if you've ever watched a film and the scene goes between two people talking, and maybe the guy's collar's up, you know, or the woman's blouse is a different way. And you go, hey, how's that? That's continuity. And you're responsible for that. But wardrobe, you have to take these photos and match everything perfectly. Script supervisors usually do that, but I would get to the point that I didn't really trust it, so I'd take my own photos. When I took my photos on film for continuity, I never put the camera down. So I'd order extra Polaroids and I'd take behind the scenes shots. So I got the actors just chilling, you know, I got, you know, conversations with the director and the actors, and really, really, you know, cool stuff. And by the time, you know, I worked really from the time I graduated in 96 straight through 2003, and then I moved down to Baltimore, Maryland. I immediately joined the union down there and started working in theater and television. And I joined the Wire crew. And so I did the 5th season of The Wire, and I was B-unit wardrobe, but I constantly had my camera and I took tons of shots. 5th season was the last season. So I put together a video for David Simon and, you know, just everybody it was just the entire season, and I put it to music and everybody was like, oh, that's so cool. So, you know, you get inspired by these things that you do because you're not even doing it thinking about any type of reward from anyone. It feels good. And I think that's really the basis of a lot of creativity, you know, and artistic integrity. You do it, it feels good. So I, you know, was doing that, and then I was dating a guy, you know, before my husband, who was a model, and like he was a legit model, you know, like, you know, Kenneth Cole, billboards in New York and stuff, but he was constantly having me take photos and, you know, redo shots and then like film stuff. And I remember there were a few times I was like, oh, I hate this guy. But I didn't hate him. I just, you know, it was just like, it's 4 a.m. Can I just sleep a little bit? And lo and behold, you know, after we ended, and then I met my husband, and, you know, we got together, I had a camera in my hand on him all the time. And, you know, I'd be like, you know, he was doing like his workouts and stuff, and he's, you know, the Muay Thai, and I'd go, does anyone know you really do this like this? And he's like, and I started filming, you know, and I'd film it and take photos, and then that turned into one day, he had to submit a photo for Billboard. And I think he said, you know what, Helen's got a shot. And I sent the shot in and they used it. And then he started doing that. He'd be like, Helen can take the picture. And I'd be like, yeah, I can do it. And then that rolled over into, you know, I had my camera, VIP, you know, we didn't have the meet and greets with the band so here's the thing with Paris Bisson from Godsmack, when she was talking about being a VIP person, the same story. I got a call from Harry Sandler, who at the time was, he was like tour manager for the Eagles. And I went to college with his son, Jesse. And so I knew them, and I was doing wardrobe stuff, like off the cuff for Harry, he'd call. And one day he called and said, hey, I got a job for you. It's not wardrobe, but I'm not sure, you know, if you want to take it. And I was like, what is it? You know, and he's like, well, it's VIP. We're doing this thing with Live Nation. We're starting it up. And it's I Love All Access. And you get to, you know, tour with bands and stuff. And I was like, that's a piece of cake. You know, I was working Radio City Music Hall doing quick changes between 51st Street and then running to 52nd Street to the other side of the stage for Rockettes. So I was like, what are these, you know, yeah, what the guys get on stage and play music and what the fans are like, hey, so I was, yeah, I could do it. And the Kanye West was going out with the Glow in the Dark tour. And the truth was that the company was just kind of starting and they didn't have like a black rep. So, you know, Harry was like, I know someone who can do it and be serious about it. And I was like, yeah, I can handle it. So I went out with Kanye, and then I went out with Earth, Wind and Fire, and then Robin Thicke. And then unfortunately, that was the time when Jennifer Hudson had the tragedy in her family. And they were looking for someone who would be able to, you know, the fans, they're great, but, you know, everyone wants to give you their condolences, and you can't hear that every night 100 times, you know, so they needed someone who would be able to be diplomatic in the way that they say, hey, we need you to enjoy the music and enjoy her, but keep all of that, you know, to yourself. And so
Yeah.
I went out with Jennifer and we had a great time. It was a great tour. And then the Eagles, their rep, I guess she left, and then I got that gig. And I was working on that. And that was it, you know, and all of this is just with the fans. We would only do a dinner. They never met the band. The Jennifer Hudson, Robin Thicke crew, they met the band, but most of them, they didn't meet the band. They just came and got the great seats, you know, and you took care of them, gave them the great gift bag. And you just gave people who, you know, really probably worked hard for the money, really special treatment, and made them feel great. That's the part, once again, that I loved. So the social butterfly part kicked in. No camera, you know. Then one day, before, like with this whole job thing, Harry said to me when I first started, he said, well, we're going to need to train you. And we need you to go to Reading, Pennsylvania. And I need you to follow the Def Leppard girl, because we're going to put you on, you know, a tour like next week. And I was like, okay. I got my car, you know, Maryland. I drove to Reading. I got, you know, to the spot, and I said hi to everybody. And this guy with an English accent, you know, in shorts and stuff, he walks up to me and he's like, hello. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? You know, and I kept it moving, and I'm following the girl, you know, because I'm kind of like, you know, I know I look fine and all of that, but I'm a lady, you know, so I was focused on the job, you know, get the check. So I was in the room with, you know, all the fans and watching how she operated and what she did. And the guy sticks his head in, and he's like, everybody goes nuts. And I'm like, what the hell is going on with these people? You know, because I'm a Jackson 5 girl. You know what I mean? You know, yeah, that's me. So I didn't know, you know, who he was. Anyway, later on, it's time to go. And I went to Harry and said, hey, can I see the show? You know, it'd be cool to just check out the audience. I go in the house, and the crowd is going nuts. You know, this band, the headliners, they're about to come on. And I called my homegirl. I said, hey, who is this? Like, this band stuff. She was like, what's the band? I said, I don't even know. I said, I haven't seen people in this frenzy since I went to the Jackson concert in Madison Square Garden. So I was like, unless Michael is coming on the stage, I don't know what's going on here. The lights go down. The band comes up pretty much out of the floor. And Rick Allen comes up. And I look at him and I go, I just watched something on MTV. I said, oh, this is the band with the drummer with one arm. And I was like, okay. And then after Rick, Phil, you know, he comes up, and I'm standing there, and I went, you know, and I'm not going to use the expletive, but I said, that's the mofo who said hi to me in the hallway. And he comes over, you know, and he's playing his guitar, you know, and he's looking at me like, yeah, you ain't know I was in the band. I was like, dude, really? So I had my camera. I took a shot of him and, you know, enjoyed it. I got in my car, went home, started my next tour. A year later, I get a call. Def Leppard's rep had left, and they asked if, you know, they needed a new rep. And so Harry referred me. The day I stepped into the office to set up, because they had just finished Europe. So this is, I did the training in 2008. In 2009, I'm in there setting up, and we were in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And Phil walks in the door. And when he sees me, he says, oh, what are you doing here? And I said, I'm working. What are you doing here? He was like, I'm playing. And I said, you remember me? And he said, yeah, like just like that. And I was like, whoa, you know, that is so cool. But I went about, you know, doing my job and stuff. Man, probably about, what was it? To be honest with you, it was 3 days later. And that's when Phil was like, I have been searching for you my entire life. And a month later, he proposed, and a year later, we got married. And so that's that story. But the thing is, and I always like to tell people, you know, I love my husband for putting me out there to be like, Helen, you know, she can do it. But that had nothing to do with the go for it spirit that I already had. That was already being honed. And, you know, production is no joke. You know, on the road, they got it easy. You know, what did they have? Like maybe a costume change with a jacket. You know, I was like, this is a piece of cake. You know, when artists complain about being on the road, I'm like, have you done a Broadway show? Do you understand what really happens, you know, behind those curtains? You know, I've changed tap shoes in the dark, you know, like, oops, don't trip over me. But it's a whole other ballgame. So I enjoy the freeness of it, you know, because it's all on the artist. You get out there and you play. As for being in the pit, it just rolled into, I was taking photos, and it gradually, Phil would start using my photos for art interviews and stuff. And Ash Newell is a brilliant photographer, and he was the Def Leppard photographer. He was doing great stuff. Ross Halfin,
Yep.
Wonderful man, love him to death. Great stuff. And when Ross would come around, you know, I admire, you know, Ross, and I just kind of be up under him, you know, a definite humility, because I admire people who, you know, kind of pave the way and they do things, and then you can learn from that. There's nothing in my spirit that prevents me from meeting someone and learning from them. I never want to be the smartest person in the room, because then there's nothing to learn from that group, you know. So you always want to be able to absorb, you know. That's how I feel. I don't mind being the second smartest person in the room, but yeah, not the smartest. I need to constantly absorb. So by 2014, Mike Kobayashi, who, you know, is the band's manager now, basically just said, you know, Helen can be responsible for the tour online edition of the photos that we, oh, that's my son. I know. Helen can be responsible for the online photos, you know. So I go in the pit every night, you know, and take the photos. And I got to tell you guys, it was great being out there, because I stay small, you know, and I let the guys who are doing their thing go out there, because it's still that thing. You guys have been doing this thing for years. But I got to tell you, sometimes I get the look, because I shoot with, like, I started with a Sony, like, Cybershot. And then I moved up, and I've like this, you know, the Sony E-mounts. And so I moved to, I had the Nex 5, and then the Nex 7, and then I got the A7R. You know what I mean? Really good camera. Small, though, you know, like teeny, palm of your hand kind of thing. So can you imagine me in the pit with this, with my little lens on it, and the guys are out there with their big old, you know, cannons. And I let them shoot, because the beauty of it was, because I was Phil's wife, 3 songs I would give to the other photographers.
Yeah, right. We're out of there.
Right. So I didn't take shots really, because the understanding is you need to have the time to get the best shots that you need to do. If I have the opportunity to be there the whole show, I can step back. No ego at all. So I would do that. And then when everybody was gone, then I just turned into a bull, you know, and I'd be able to get my shots. And that allowed me to just continually move forward shooting, because then I'd just be in the pit for everybody, you know, because it wasn't just Def Leppard. I'd be like, well, Tesla's out there, I'm going, you know, and then I was shooting other stuff, you know, outside of concerts, and my friends are artists and doing stuff for them. So that's really how it came around. And Rock Paper Photo, it was like an exhibit, and Mark Weiss was doing an 80s exhibit on artists, and he had all the 80s shots of Def Leppard, but they didn't have any kind of like latest ones. So I submitted 5 shots of the band for current. And then from there, I ended up hooking up with Jody Britt, who, she's amazing. Her father is Jim Britt, who was Motown's photographer.
Oh, wow.
I know I probably have the years crazy, but between like 68, 75, something like that, like all those classic Marvin Gaye shots, What's Going On, and that's her dad, you know, Michael Jackson, the Jackson 5. So Jody ended up taking me under her wing, and she got me 3 exhibits. I did 2 in New York and 1 in LA, and just been, you know, moving forward from there. But, you know, I love the concert stage, pit area. Stories galore. Kiss is great. Eric Singer.
Yeah.
Love Eric.
Yes, nice.
So, yeah.
You have, in just the last 20 minutes, there is so much information. You have done so much, and you have been around so many great, I don't know, mentors or something to that effect, to just build such a great volume of information. That is so amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, that is a great story.
So if you don't mind, I kind of want to go back and sort of unpack a few things just to kind of talk a little bit deeper on those. So The Wire, let's talk about The Wire for a moment.
Yeah.
So production. So you said some key things to me that I am with you in regards to continuity. I do a lot of directing and shooting, not a lot, but we do occasional directing and shooting, stuff like that. Continuity is such a pain in the ass, and not having someone to be focused on that is so important in the industry.
Yeah, laser. Yeah.
So when you worked on The Wire, was that your first sort of television production or something to that? You've done many before that? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Because once you join the union, in New York City, you're just getting calls. There was a show, it's you just do everything because the way that the shows work, especially with the crew, it's always just like you can go in for a day and do something. So like I did like a day on Law and Order, but they have tons of extras, so you have to come in. There used to be a show called Third Watch, and it was like Law and Order, but it was the fire department. You know what I mean? And I went in and I did like 3 days on that. And it's like fire suit, that stuff is heavy, So I mean, it depends. Yeah, but I did 5 months, maybe 6, as assistant to the wardrobe supervisor on Late Night with David Letterman. So, the story's up in there. We had a ball. Natalie is awesome. But when I worked that show, everybody from Rudy Giuliani to freaking, oh my goodness, Sylvester Stallone came through. You know what I mean? And so Natalie, she was a wardrobe supervisor. She's responsible for David. And I was responsible for everybody who hit the couch. And so I was there during the time frame. Remember Blow, the movie? And then remember Pee Wee Herman hadn't been seen. And then he was in that movie. And so his big, debut for late night talk show was on David Letterman. And I remember he came and he was pretty nervous, but he was cool. He had a great suit and he was asking me which tie, and I was like, you need to go with this one. I was always the tie girl. And I remember he was like, are you sure? And I said, this is what I do. Trust me. Do the tie. And when he walked on stage, the first thing David said was, wait, Pat. And he was like, oh. And when he saw me when he was leaving, he gave me a hug. It's that type of stuff that makes the job so memorable. So it's tons of stories like that. Tony Orlando, Without Dawn, was on the show. And I went to him and said, can you sign this? And it was a yellow ribbon. Of course, But he was so taken with it because as times go forward, people forget. But not me. I grew up on Rowan and Martin's Laughing. I Love Lucy. Benny Hill. You name it. Courtship of Eddie's father. Let me tell you my best friend. That's me. So I'm a TV girl. So getting to work around those people, you get stories and all that. So that's another reason why you pay attention to continuity because you care. It's that thing.
Absolutely. Very important. Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about the early stages of your VIP stuff. So when you first started, and I'm going to open up after this question, I'll let Steve take over, but sort of give us that first time you realized, the first time you did where the Def Leppard, was that just the one show?
When that one time, that was I didn't, I was like, who? I just was like, these guys are huge. These guys are big.
Totally.
And it was just that one show, and then a year later, I got called for the job. Yeah.
And you talk about, talk about meant to be, soulmates, star-crossed, all that stuff. I mean, this is, reality coming through all that. So that's so cool.
You know what was cool? The thing that Phil and I really connected on. I remember we had like our first kind of, you could call it a date or whatever. It was the crew though. We all went to a movie, and it was what was it? It was one of those movies with Megan Fox, Transformers. It was Transformers.
Okay,
joking through the whole movie. We were like okay, it's a world catastrophe. Her lipstick is perfect. Like we were just, it was just nonstop. And I remember he asked me what I did because he was like, "Oh, you do VIP?" I said, "No, no, 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 no." I said, "This is the vacation from theater and film." You know, I said, "This is just a cute job for me right now." You know, and I said, you know, I was asking him what he did. I said, "So you play guitar?" Like, I didn't know anything about him. I was like, "What's your first band?" He's like, "Moose Jaw." I was like, "That's a stupid name, but okay, that's great." And he was like, "No, they spun a globe and they were like Moose Jaw somewhere in Canada." They were like, "That's the name of the band." So, and he told me about, you know, a little about himself and stuff. And we just really connected because the one thing that I already knew was one, I don't get starstruck. You know, the people I get starstruck about, like, I met, what's her name? Death Becomes Her. And she's got the short hair and she had the gift of life. What's her name? Oh my goodness. Remember Death Becomes Her with
Shoot.
okay. Well,
It'll come to you.
But but anyway, like when you meet those type of people, when you meet,
I'm just gonna Google it for you.
you know, like I met John Amos. I was working on film, and John Amos.
Meryl
was
Streep?
down there.
Yes.
And I was like, no, but it wasn't Meryl. It was
Oh, Goldie Hawn?
no, Italian.
Oh,
Italian. She was the one who was giving them life.
Isabella
Yes.
Isabella Rossellini.
Rossellini. Yes.
That's
Oh, yeah.
where,
you guys were faster.
yeah, I go in on that type of stuff. The older actors who are still here, those are the ones who really cause me to go, okay, get this right. You know, you don't want to mess this up. You know, everyone else, you know, your peers and stuff, you respect them. You just go, you know what, you're doing your thing. I'm going to make this perfect for you. You know, so that's really kind of like, I don't know how that goes. I forgot the question. I'm talking so much. You got to help me out. So. But the TV and film and like movie thing all brought it to full circle with Phil, because talking to him, he's just a regular guy, and on the road, as you know, on tour, everyone's so starstruck with the bands and stuff, which is great, but they are just, regular guys. So I think we really hit it off because it was just regular stuff to talk about, and we could relate on stuff on the other level, but I wanted to know about him. I worked with enough stars to know that, there's a personality thing. So if you're going to actually engage someone, you want to make sure that you're engaging a real person. And the thing that struck me with him is that he was a real person. So we laughed about the same stuff. We just really, I was so intrigued at how connected he was with the status of the band that he was in, if that makes any sense. He was connected to the world, regardless of the status of the band. He wasn't living in a bubble or in a bubble tour bus. You know what I mean? So I was able to just be myself, and my sense of humor is like Carol Burnett, off the wall kind of thing. So, and he got it. So we had a good time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Steve, why don't you do a 3, 2, 1 and jump in?
All right, 3, 2, 1. A couple of the things that I'd like to know. Obviously, we all kind of struggle with what we're shooting now that all us concert photographers are kind of sitting on the sideline in these trying and difficult times of COVID. What are you shooting? What are you doing to stay busy when it comes to using your camera? What are you shooting now as inspiration?
So since my son was born in 2018, everything switched because it's just pictures of him, him. But with the band being home and Phil having to still have content put out there, I'm shooting stuff for him. So he just did a 30-day fitness challenge, and it was literally 30 days. And so it was his workout, he's talking, he's like, this is what I do, and then I push this, and then I do the crunches, and and I filmed the whole thing. So now he's about to do, I think they just have projects, and everything is him being filmed, and pictures being taken, and they're working on the new album. And so it's like, behind the scenes, it's just, you name it. I'm filming it for him and I send it in. So my hand has not gotten shaky because now they're constantly having me do stuff for him, or he'll say, hey, can you do this and put this together? And I go, sure. So I'm probably filming more than actually taking pictures, but then with my son, I just take pictures of him constantly. But the way I take pictures of him is still kind of photographer mode, If he's like running, I go, no, we can't use that. That's blurry. All right, go back, do it again. He's 2, but he gets it. The sun's hitting. If you can't feel the sun, I can't see you. Turn around.
Yeah, we've been there. Yeah, definitely.
There we go.
Sure.
But I'm kind of keeping busy,
Good.
Yes.
If we could kind of back up a little bit, I know you talked about how you first got involved with the band. What is a typical night or day on tour like? What's a typical day for you?
Okay. Let's see. On tour, because I was touring for 20 years before I met Phil. So,
wow.
Yeah, I was on the road way before I met him.
Well, let's talk about that. What was that all about?
So I was John Mellencamp. I was John Mellencamp's, den mother for 2 tours, because he would like tour and then like it'd be like the next year and he'd be like, we're going out for 3 days, and you're like, okay. So yeah, John Mellencamp was my first tour. That was my first. Okay.
What year was that?
John Mellencamp was it 99, 2000? It was either 99 or 2000, something like that. It was up in there. So 2000, no, not 20. Yeah. So wait a minute, 99. No, 10 years. So 10 years before I met Phil. I know that it was a 2-digit number that I was touring before I met my husband. It wasn't 20, because that would have made me like a child. But no, but John Mellencamp, so it must have been 99. And then 2009 tour Phil. So 10 years. So 10 years before. So I can't remember the tour. I want to say Pink Houses? Cherry Bomb. One of those. Maybe Cherry Bomb. And my job with John was, it was myself and another young lady. And we took care of everything. So you get to the venue, the dressing room is empty. We traveled with furniture. We created the same look in every venue. Took care of his clothes, made sure all of his clothes and stuff was straight. My job with John was dressing the dressing room, and then when he went on stage, making sure he's got his jacket on, up. I stood in the wings with an American Spirit cigarette and a piece of gum. I want to say it was cinnamon, Big Red. That was my gig, and taking care of wardrobe. I took care of wardrobe for the band, which was brilliant. So I was out with him, and I did that for about 1.5 years. But then I was touring with wardrobe. So I was the wardrobe supervisor for the 2008-2009 Dancing with the Stars tour. And I took that out. And then I was the wardrobe supervisor for the Donald Byrd Dance Group when we did 6 cities around the US, but one of the gigs included the Jay Leno show. So I was, outside of music, I was touring with costume and wardrobe and stuff. So that's why by the time I got on the road with like music, I was like, oh, this is a piece of cake, So John Mellencamp was awesome. Like people will say, he's hard to work with and this guy. He was wonderful. And he, his spirit, he's very determined. And so the thing that I would say is when people say that someone is maybe difficult, you have to step back and take yourself out of the equation because it's not personal. If your name is on the marquee, then you are responsible for everything, even if you're not responsible for all of it. You're like, that's the production manager, that wasn't me, but no one cares. So you find artists that do overlook every aspect. And, John, he was great. We had a ball. I took care of him to the point that we were off the road, and my grandmother raised me. I was born, my mom was 16 when she got pregnant, 17 when she had me. My grandmother brought me home from the hospital. My mother nursed me for a year, went into the Army. And so I was with my grandmother. That's my mom. She passed away in 2015. But John and his wife, when they were in New York, just for a quick vacay in between tours, they called my grandmother. You know, my grandmother was like, somebody named John is on the phone. And I was like, I got on the phone and I was like, hello. And it, you know, John, and they called and said hi. I was like, oh, that's so cool. You know, so it was
Nice.
yeah, it was that type of thing. And then like I kept talking about wanting to play bass. And I remember John was like, stop talking about it, be about it. And when I got home from tour, there was like a left-handed Fender Squire jazz bass. You know, he sent me a bass, and then you know, I taught myself how to play Mexico, and I met Willie Weeks, and then I called him on the phone. And he was like, Willie, what's this? And he was like, that's Mexico. I said, yay, because that's the only part I know. You know, so it's those experiences that come from understanding those type of people. You know, if you look for the person to have some type of attitude or bad experience, then I think you'll have one. But if you go on the road with people who work hard and you do your job, you know, I don't think you'll have any problems. I never had any problems. You know, I just do my gig. You know, I'm not, like I said, you know, I'm not an ego person. I'm like, where do I sit? Where do I set up? This is me. Okay. They come in here. Okay, when? You know, that's it. So,
Yep.
Yeah, it's very interesting to listen to you go on and on, because you've got a lot of different things that you've kind of touched and been into, and it's
1,000 lifetimes, man.
yeah, really. What's the one thing? I'm kind of winging it here, Jay. Now this is where I said I don't like to wing it. I'm winging it. Okay, what's the one thing that if you could go back and just be in that moment again, where would you be?
Questions.
Be in that moment. Okay, here it is. So when I was working for the Donaldberg Dance Troupe, I had an assistant. And so Jonathan Secor was the stage management teacher at SUNY Purchase. And he was wonderful. When I was at Purchase, the year that I was about to graduate, because Purchase is absolutely brilliant. The Wizard of Oz was teching at Purchase at the PAC, at the Performing Arts Center, because they were going on Broadway. So the Paramount Theater, which is Madison Square Garden Theater, was going to host the Wizard of Oz on Broadway. The cast was Eartha Kitt as the Wicked Witch. Mickey Rooney was the Wizard. An actor really well known, Dirk Lombard, he was the Tin Man or whatever. I ended up being his attendant. I had to take care of him. Talk about so much fun. You know, the poppies, you know, they're walking around and they're, you know, kind of doing their thing. So this whole thing, Jonathan was watching me work. He hired me for Donaldberg, and the woman who was my assistant, God bless her, she was wonderful and funny. She owned her own costume shop, but Jonathan made me the wardrobe supervisor because he said he believed in me and I better not let him down. Okay, you rise to the challenge. One day, we were, and I can't believe I want to go back to this moment, but it was brilliant. One day, we had left a city, I forget what it was, maybe it was DC, and Jonathan said to me in the airport, you know what, because I got bags and stuff labeled, he's like, I'll take the shoes, you know, you go ahead, you know, you got a lot, you've been working hard. We're on our way to California. First time for me ever in California. I said, okay, get on the plane. I get off the plane, get all the bags together, get them in the cab or the van, head to the hotel. Me and my assistant go, we're going to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles because we saw it on TV and Snoop Dogg up there. So we get in the cab, we go to Roscoe's, it's awesome. We come back to the hotel and we're like, oh, California, you know, and we were playing at the Wilton Theater. So Jonathan says, he calls me and he goes, okay, you know, tomorrow we're doing Jay Leno. You know, we had to be at NBC Studios or whatever, and in Burbank. And he's like, just make sure you have everything together. So I say there, you know, okay, let's get this popping. Let's just make sure we got everything. And I said, Jonathan, where'd you put the shoes? Jonathan says, what do you mean, where'd I put the shoes? You have them. I said, no, you told me you'd take the shoes when we were flying here. He said, yeah, the shoes on the plane. He said, but didn't you take the shoes when you got off the plane? He said, Helen, I'm the production manager. Your wardrobe, that's your responsibility. Quickly, I was like, you know what? Don't even worry about it. I hung up the phone. Can we curse on this show? Because I was like,
Go ahead.
oh, shit. Get in here, quick. Okay, so 24 hours hadn't gone by, but she comes in the room and it's about 6 o'clock in the evening. And I'm like, what are we going to do? We gotta buy the shoes, the dancers' shoes. 18 dancers. And we're doing the Nutcracker, Tchaikovsky. But it's like the Harlem version of the Nutcracker. So it's flashier. A girl is a champagne glass. Like, it's real. So we are freaking out. We check everywhere. And the whole time we're cracking jokes. So funny. But we were cracking jokes. Like cracking jokes to the point where we were like, we have to find these shoes and we have to stop laughing because this is not funny, but we just wasn't laughing. So finally we go, okay, we can't sleep. What do we do? I said, you know what? We got to go back to the airport. Well, where's the airport? I don't know where the airport is. How are we going to get to the airport? We had to do all of this without Jonathan knowing. Well, he knows now. So we, at about, I want to say 5 in the morning, because we had to be at Burbank at 8. So maybe 4, we get in a cab and we head to LAX. And I am like, oh my God. She goes, Helen, we have to tell Jonathan we're at LAX. All of the costumes headed to Burbank. I didn't go. I called Jonathan all calm. And I go, hey, Jonathan, we haven't found the shoes yet, but we're going to go to LAX because, you know, they're probably there in the lost and found. He goes, Helen, 8 o'clock, Burbank. That's all I care. And he hangs up on me. Okay. I'm freaking out. Traffic in California, no one told me about it. I was freaking out. Like, what is the problem? I was like, maybe I could run to the airport. Does this highway lead to another? Like, it was so crazy. Finally, we pull in, and the driver, I'm telling him the whole story. We're pulling in, and he goes, well, now we have to get to your, you know, your airport, like where you guys landed. I was like, how do we, it's Delta, I guess. We go through this whole process, and thank God, as we're pulling past our actual, you know, the plane, like where it let us off and everything, I had marked all my wardrobe bags with fluorescent pink tape X's. And in the window of the lost and found, it's the bag of shoes. The X's were like this.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
I was like, how do we get there? He was like, we have to go around. I said, no, we can't do it. You have to let me out here. He said, I can't let you out. I said, yes, you can. He stopped. I bounded across the highways, like whatever those lanes are, ran inside. By the time I got over there to get the shoes, he was able to come around and pull up. It was 6:30 and I had to get to Burbank. And I had to be there at 8 a.m. That was the call. Got in the car, had the bag, and I said, I need you to call the studio. He said, I can't do that. I said, yes, you can. I had him call his dispatcher. His dispatcher called Burbank Studios and got in touch with Jonathan. I'm speaking to Jonathan through 2 telephones and a walkie. And Jonathan says, Helen, what do you have to tell me? And I said, nothing, I'm on my way there. I got the shoes, no problem. See you soon. He's like, okay. I was like, this guy got me away. He broke all traffic lights, all rules. We were illegal all the way. I got there at 7:59, ran to the door, was like, came in with the shoes and was like, hey, y'all. And that's my shoe story. Would I go back to that moment? Hell yeah, because there is nothing like an adrenaline rush when you gotta get it done. Love
Nice.
That deserves a standing ovation.
What a good story. Yeah,
Adrenaline rush.
right?
That's awesome.
I love the rush. I just, there's something about, now if it goes wrong, that's another story. But luckily, I haven't been in situations where we couldn't work it out, because I'll be like, duct tape and glue, what we got? Let's make that.
Make it happen. Yeah,
Handled it
totally.
well,
Yeah,
too.
but that was
No
my-
big deal. I got the shoes. We're fine.
First time in California, and didn't know about traffic.
Right.
And learned a lesson about, because with touring, there's certain things that you take for granted. I learned a lesson about responsibility. If someone says they're going to do something for you, you check back in to see if they're still doing it, because there is a point that they don't continue to do that. It's just the little things. Don't wake up late on a tour bus. No one's going to wake you up. Everyone's going to walk past you. It's like little things that you end up learning. So with me, I'm a quick learner. I learn it once, so I don't make the mistake again. But
You learn how to be cool under pressure. That's for damn sure.
Oh,
man.
Pressure.
But like, yeah, dude, I
what's
don't know.
pressure?
I don't know what we're gonna do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I snap into like, remember Terminator, the second one, and the guy's chasing the car, and he's like the cop, and he's like chasing, and he's like real serious. He's got the ears, that's me. I'm like, we gotta get this done. And it's like that with the photography and stuff too. Taking the shots from the pit. I always know when I have the shot because I feel it in my stomach. I feel it like if I'm shooting, I don't shoot continuously. I try and wait, not singing, because the song, when they have the mouth open and stuff, I try and wait till they take a breath, and I wait for those moments that you don't expect. It, they look at their sound guy and crack a joke or something like that. I always say, I think also it's a woman's intuition, because when I'm shooting guys, I try and wait for the moment when I go, he looks really good. And take the shot, and it ends up being very flattering, because then the guys see it and they go, "Whoa, that's a good shot," and you're like, "I thought you looked pretty handsome there," rather than just like shoot, and it's crazy, because I don't want to look through 1,000 photos a night. I shoot, pretty minimal, and it's that same feeling under pressure, and you got to get it, and the band, they're picky, and they should be. It's their image.
To hear you say that, it reminds me of a woman that I met when I first got into digital photography, and she was kind of a mentor to me for years. And we'd be standing there shooting our 3 songs, and she's standing there watching. I'm like, "Aren't you going to shoot? What are you doing?" And she was doing exactly what you said. She's waiting for them to be handsome and look good, so she's got great shots. So you say that, it takes me back to my friend Lori. It's kind of cool. So I'm gonna kick it over to Hemp and let him have at you for a little bit and see what he can come up with for good stuff.
What you got, man?
Helen, you talked about doing video and photography. Which one do you like best?
They're the same to me. They're the same because they work the same part of my brain.
Yeah.
With when I shoot video, I'll take a few stills first, because I need to see the reality of it, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So if I'm going to interview or whatever, I need to see exactly what that frame looks like. Like, I watch a lot of TV. I watch a lot of and not because I'm studying anything. I love shows. I love documentaries. I love stuff like that. And in your brain, you always kind of see that stuff. So you want to see if you can get as close to it as possible. So I love them both because they work the same. It's angles and distance, and
Yeah.
the body looks different in a video if you have a different angle, or if it's up, or if the face is down. So yeah, no, I like the brain muscles that they both work to make me figure stuff out, because once you have to record or shoot for someone else, you're at their discretion, really. So
Now you do all your own editing, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you spend a lot of time after the concert doing that?
No, I try and shoot as true to the shot that I want as possible. So when I get in post editing, I'm probably doing like a quick, like maybe a little bit of light enhancement, a little bit of shadow removal, maybe pop the color just a little bit, but concert lights are great. So I don't spend a lot of time in post editing. A lot of the shots are raw, all just with a little added kick. It's like putting salt and pepper on a pizza.
I'm the exact same way. I like what I saw. It just put that out there.
Yeah, because I like the more you can get what you saw, the less work you got to do later. So maybe professionally lazy. I'm like, I'm not spending all the time.
Now we ask everyone this: how many of you actually printed?
A lot.
I see blank wall behind you.
A lot. I like, you know what? Yeah, because I took them down because I was just like, I want, like I print like Phil is all, I got, that's a ring light. I got that one of him. This one is one of my favorites. This was in Canada.
Cool.
Very nice.
This room I got shots of him. And then around the house I have my pictures. In the baby's room I have some landscapes up. And then from the exhibit, I printed on metal.
Nice.
Photos.
Nice.
So I've got the black and whites came out beautiful on the metal, and then the color it was on white metal, so it pops, and the black and white was on like the silver. But I've got tons of stuff. And then I have like a portfolio book I keep around the house, 11 by 14, so people can see stuff.
Yeah, I keep telling myself I've got to print more and more.
You gotta print.
I'm sick of looking at them on my computer. So
Yeah, I hear you on that one.
it makes it real, and it also, it makes it real for other people. When they come through and they see your work and they go, oh, okay, so because once the iPhone came out, everybody was like, yeah, I'm a photographer. That's what I do. You're like, yeah, okay, yeah, everybody's a photographer. Not everybody can print. And once you print, you're like, I did it. You go in a room by yourself and you stare at your picture.
that's mine.
It's mine.
You have a ton of published stuff, right? I mean, tons of published pieces, right?
Yeah, a lot, because what ended up happening, especially commercially, Phil has other bands, and so he's got Man Rays with so that's the pictures that you have with him and Paul Cook from Sex Pistols and Simon Laffey from Girl. So he's got that band, those are his English buddies, and then he's got Delta Deep, and that's with Debbie Blackwell Cook, who's my godmother, and Robert DeLeo, who's Stone Temple Pilots, and Forrest Robinson, who played with NDRE, and Randy Crawford. I just, the way the band came together, me, Phil, and Debbie, we write all the songs, and then I was just shooting. So I was like, well, I shot the album cover, then, we need promo pictures, let me shoot that. So, but then it turns into, okay, well, we're going to get this out there. And that's how it goes. And so the next thing you know, you've got commercially produced art, that gets everywhere. The Man Ray stuff, same thing. So it just kind of happened.
Did you say you were part of the songwriting process?
Yeah, Phil, Debbie,
That's
and I.
awesome.
Right,
We haven't even touched on that yet.
Yeah, man, you don't even understand. I crochet, I paint, I draw.
I'm waiting for her to tell us that she's got an Oscar sitting over in the corner.
But you know what the deal is too, and I always say this to people because they go, it's a lot of stuff. When you're a freelance artist in Brooklyn, New York, and you have a trade, like I pride myself on going, when Phil met me, I was like, oh, man, I'm not marrying anybody. I'm going to Greece. I'm going to live on a house in the house on the side of the mountain with a cat, and I'm going to just do alterations on clothes because no matter what, someone always needs their pants fixed. So that was my thing. I have a trade. But when you are a freelance artist, you have to know how to do other things because in New York, you have to pay the rent. So if people called me and said, hey, I'm working on this flyer. Can you help me out visually? Because some people think that, okay, well, you're an artist, so then you'll have an eye to help with this. And you go, okay. And then I remember I'd be like, well, I could fix that for you. And then I started doing like computer graphics and flyers and, doing logos and, that. So it just comes from the same place. But, if you got to get rent for the month of November, you're going to do what you got to do in Brooklyn, New York, So it ended up being a lot of stuff. And I crochet. I was crocheting since I was 7 years old. And then when I became an adult, a friend said, you should turn that into a business. And I was like, really? And then a few of my friends, because a lot of them have locks, would be like, I can't find a cool hat. And I'd be like, you know what, you're right. They all look like socks. And then I just started crocheting like just fly gear, like hats with, suede and, just off the hook. And then that turned into Macy Gray wanted 5. And I was like,
Oh, wow.
okay.
Wow.
And then I gave John Stamos one. I gave one to Justin Timberlake. I gave Common like 10. You know what I mean? So it turns into that thing, but it's always with your craft, and you guys know this. It doesn't matter really what you're doing because of the artist that you are, and you are artists. You have to put your best foot forward because once it leaves your hands, it's out there, and that's what represents you. So that's what always I'm thinking of. So I do a lot of stuff, but I try to do the best that I can because you don't want junk out there and 10 years later you go, yeah, I didn't really care about that. I just did whatever. No, 10 years later, you want someone to be like, girl, I still got that hat. You know what I mean? Or, I still have that photo you took. That's great. So that's really it. So it turns into just a little bit of everything. And people, they'll come to you and ask you to do anything. And I don't really like saying, I can't do that. I'll be like, hit me tomorrow. Do some research.
Give it
I'm
a
not
try.
a good tomorrow.
Hey, thanks for watching part 1 of our interview with Helen Collen. If you have suggestions or questions about shows, email us at nhconcertphotogs@gmail.com. And as always, catch all of our episodes at talesfromthepit.net. We'll see you next time.